Namaste. I just wanted to start by sharing with you some of the feedback I had from last week's class. Now, last week we practiced Navasana or boat pose, and some of you told me that you found it very difficult and that you're not really that keen on boat pose. And that's fine, that's absolutely fine. Not all of these asana are useful to all of us. So I would just remind you that I'm here giving the practice, and you need to think about how that practice feels in your body. And although I'm just guessing and giving a general practice, you know, each of us is completely different. We have different experiences, we come from different parts of times of life and different backgrounds and levels of fitness, and we may have our own health challenges. So I would just encourage you just to keep, look for that intimacy with your own body in this vehicle that we're using at the present moment. And just to remember that there is nothing to be gained from something that you don't enjoy. So if part of the practice that I offer in this week's class is not going to suit you, then listen to that still small voice inside and modify, adapt, or just miss it out. Substitute it with something that you do like instead. This pandemic is giving us this opportunity, if you like, of, on the one hand, imprisonment, but on the other hand, this lack of distractions is also giving us this opportunity to go inside and to deepen our practice. And I've become more and more aware that I'm not using my practice to avoid what's going on outside and avoid what's going on outside my own sanctuary, but to acknowledge it, and rather than shying away from it, I think my practice is my way of claiming back my life, my role, my purpose, my chance to claim intimacy with myself, free of the distractions that would otherwise have me dashing around here and there. And for me, that's enough. That's enough at the moment. That's enough for me to have my practice give me that opportunity to go inside and be quiet and to find that intimacy with myself. So we're going to begin today's practice sitting, and you don't have to sit cross-legged, you just need to be upright. So if you want to be sitting on a chair or leaning against the wall or sitting kneeling, lots of people find kneeling comfortable. If you want to kneel, then that's absolutely fine. And we're just going to try and move inwards and take a few moments here just to find out how we feel today. And whatever the answer is, that's fine. If the answer is I feel a bit cranky, if I feel a bit stressed today, if I feel a bit depressed today, we don't have to be perfect. So whatever you discover, don't shy away from it. Just as we're not shying away from the chaos of the outside world, we also don't have to shy away from the truth of our own embodiment. So if today, your shoulder feels a bit achy or you feel a bit, then that's all right too. But we acknowledge that and we use that in our practice. You don't always have to be perfect and 100%. That's not what we're looking for. You're already perfect. Why would you need to seek some more perfection? So from that starting point then, let's just take a moment here. So settling, just check that you're vertical. Because you're seated, you don't need to have your eyes open. And again, that going inwards, that closing of the eyes, just allows us to connect with how we feel today. Wherever your reality is today. And without trying to strain the breath, if you can, pick up that Ujjayi breathing. So you're focusing the sensation of your breath in the throat, whether it be a long breath or a short breath, whether the breath be balanced on the inhale and the exhale. Maybe it's a bit shaky or your throat feels a little tight. You might want to sigh or have a soft smile to help to relax the muscles in the face. We're not trying to edit the breath. We're just noticing how the breath is with you today, at this moment. And we are aware, we acknowledge as yogis that every asana we take, every movement that we make is going to change the reality. It's going to change that breath in some way. So we stay alert to those changes, those subtle changes. Maybe the length of the inhale will be longer in this asana than another asana. Maybe your attention will be drawn to the pause when the breath isn't moving. In different asana as we move through them. So to begin our movements, we're going to start with just the head. Moving the head at the top of the spine, taking advantage of that atlas vertebra that allows the chin to drop towards the throat, lengthening the back of the neck and folding your throat gently. And maybe just taking a breath or two, making sure the shoulders are dropping, but the spine is still upright. Allowing the head to get heavy. And then taking care not to push yourself beyond the breath, to try and keep all of the movement that you make within the breath, pausing when the breath is pausing. Lifting the chin as you're breathing in, opening up the front of the throat, lifting the collarbones. And as you breathe out, following that wave of the breath, you've got the whole of that exhale to bring your chin to the rest, chin to the throat. So every breath is an experiment. You have to pay close attention to the breath to make sure that we complete the movement before we run out of breath. We're not tempted to go beyond. So the head is riding the wave of the breath, if you like. And that wave of movement traveling down the upper spine, and just notice that as you lift your chin, the front body is expanding forwards and outwards. And as you breathe out and bring your chin down, the spine is subtly lengthening. And again, we're trying to stay upright, not rock backwards and forwards, so you can feel your footprints and the backs of the thighs if you're sitting on a chair. Use the contact with whatever surface is beneath you, just to make sure you're not overcooking it. Just the head moving. And you may want to use your gaze. You could lift your eyes up towards the ceiling as you breathe in. And the eyes travel all the way to the navel as you exhale. Let's do that one more time. When you come to rest with the chin drop to the chest, again you could close your eyes and notice the impact that asana has had on your breathing. As we begin our journey, into the practice. So if you're sat on a chair, you may want to hold the side of the chair for this next asana. I'm sitting on the floor, I'm cross-legged, so I'm going to use my leg prints to keep my pelvis steady. You can have your legs in front of you if you wish. You don't have to have your knees bent. You can have your legs stretched out in front of you, maybe in a wide stride. And you don't have to have the legs straight. You could have your footprints on the floor. So I'm just going to reach a little bit, taking care as I reach to the right, not to lift my left shin, my left thigh, my left buttock. I'm going to look down just to make it easy and find that stretch on my neck. And then I'm going to use that breath, the one I'm breathing right here and now, to lift my arm up towards the ceiling as I'm inhaling. And as I'm exhaling, bring the arm back beside me. And as I'm doing that, I'm getting all kinds of information from my shoulder, from my arm. I'm trying not to put any unnecessary tension in the shoulder, in the hand, or in the elbow. I'm not pushing myself beyond the breath. And I can feel the side of my rib cage opening up to receive that breath in. I'm starting to be aware of the abdominals as they draw towards the spine, lifting inwards and upwards as I'm exhaling. Perhaps you feel the urge to lift your eyes, to gaze towards the ceiling as you breathe in. And as your hand comes back by your side and you return to neutral, maybe bring the eyes down to gaze towards the other hand. One more time. And before we outstay our welcome, take a few breaths just to come back to your vertical position. Take a moment to notice the effect of your practice. So look down to the left, maybe put your left hand holding the edge of the chair. Or you could park your fist or your handprint on the floor. You might need a block or a brick here just to make that more comfortable for your left hand, your left wrist or shoulder. And then use the breath. Keep the head gazing downwards. Whether your eyes are closed, it's up to you. And begin to lift that right arm on the inhale. And as it drops down on the exhale, follow your breath. Moving that right arm away from the body as you receive that breath in. And when you bring it down, feel the natural movement in that shoulder, in that arm, assisting the contraction of the rib cage. Perhaps if you have the urge to follow your hand with your gaze. And one more. And as you exhale, take a breath or two back in your neutral position. Sigh any tension, roll the shoulders back and down. Coming back to your upright position. So I'm going to release my legs now. If you're sitting on a chair, you can stay sitting on a chair. Maybe you want to shuffle your pelvis forward a little bit so you're balanced on the edge of your chair, so you're not slouching. And I'm going to have my legs in front of me. I find it quite comfortable to have my toes on the floor, but if you prefer to have your feet at an angle, then that's fine. You can just put something underneath your feet. You might want something to support behind the knees, a cushion or rolled up blankets. Hands on the knees. And again, this time we're going to tilt the pelvis as you lift the chin. Inhaling, exhaling, chin to the throat, belly to spine. Feel the spine lengthen. So the perineum pressing forward and downwards on the inhale. And the pelvic floor lifting as you exhale. So not only are we maneuvering the bones at the top of the spine, in the neck, with the action of the head, but we're also using the natural movements in the human body as you breathe out to create that length in the spine and the tilt of the pelvis. And this openness of the front body is made possible and is supported by strength in the back body. So that wave of breath causes that wave of movement. I'm going to start to move my arms now. So if you want to join me, remember the arms don't have to be stiff and straight. No straight lines in the human body. So small arms to begin with. T-Rex arms, lifting as you inhale. Lowering back, hands to knees as you exhale. Feel the sensations in the back body. Feel the sensations move down your arms and into the fingers. Like you're a bird flying, lifting the wings as you breathe in. Wings come close to the sides as you exhale. One more time. And notice how your shoulders are moving backwards and forwards. So maybe the next time you breathe out, you could sweep those arms forwards, bringing your hands towards your feet and your chin towards your knees. Inhaling, opening up, welcoming the breath in. Exhaling. Lifted by the breath. Flowing with that flow of the breath out. One more time. Embracing the air. As you inhale, welcoming that prana. And breathing it out. Just stay in that forward folded asana. Let the head hang. If you want to part your knees to make the space available, you could rest your head on the knees, belly to the thighs. And take a moment here. Notice the subtle movements across your back as the breath moves you. Allow the chin, muscles around the jaw to relax, and the head to get heavy. Soft eyes. And so from here, slowly, gently, use your hands to help you. We're going to stretch forward over one leg. So we're going to open up the hips a little bit. So I'm going to fold in my left leg. Again, you could have the foot tucked underneath. So you've got the arch of the foot to rest your thigh on. If you don't like a straight leg, then by all means have the knees still soft, foot on the floor. Take a moment just to make sure that you haven't leaned. If you're sitting on a chair, you just need to bring the left foot closer to you. Perhaps have it just underneath the hip, back behind the knee. And stretch the right leg out in front of you. Again, taking a moment. Lift the right arm. As you breathe in, feel that length in the right side. And as you breathe out, reach forward as if you're trying to reach beyond the toes. Stop moving when the breath stops moving. Inhaling, come all the way up. It's important here to keep the knees soft. Maybe next time you fold forward, you'll feel the forehead coming down towards the knee. If you feel you're rocking from side to side, you can use your left hand on the floor to help you stay stable. Maybe next time when you come forward, you'll feel your nose coming closer to the knee. next time, you can reach with the chin. And if you feel comfortable here, you could lift both arms. And reach, sweeping those arms forward into Janu Sirsasana, head to knee pose. So if your knee is trembling, you can bring the knee towards the head. Chin, nose or forehead. Soften the elbows. Use the weight of the front body. And we'll stay here a few breaths, using that same breath that we've been breathing with the movement. Maybe gaze forward on the inhale. And soften on the exhale. Nothing rigid. No stiff arms, no stiff shoulders. And whenever you've found you're comfortable, and we only find it by practice, through experiment, through keeping an open mind, then maybe we'll stay here a few breaths. Feel the sensation of the stretch. If you notice anything is arguing with you, back off. Don't forget that trembling and shaking are your body's way of telling you that's not comfortable. So rewire rather than trying to force the body into an uncomfortable reality. Rewire your brain to accept less. Each breath gives us a chance to get a little more comfortable. And then gently, slowly, in your own time, when you're done with the pose, you can use your arms to help you. Work your way back to upright. Maybe give that left leg a break. You can extend both legs. Put the weight behind you if you're sitting on the floor. And just feel how that stretch plays out in your right leg. Feel how the right leg has responded. Feel the energy moving up and down that right leg. And so, bending the right knee. Again, you can have your foot on the floor if you're sitting on a chair. Extend the left foot away from you. The leg doesn't have to be fully straightened. You can have it semi-bent, foot on the floor. supported by a blanket or a cushion behind it. Use your right hand so that you don't rock and roll from side to side, because then you don't know, is it the muscles I'm aiming for that I'm stretching, or is it my twist of the spine or the tilt of the pelvis that's helping me make that reach? So left arm lifting. If you want to lift your eyes and follow the hand with your gaze, you can. And as you exhale, reach forward into the space in front of your foot. Inhaling up. And bending forward as you exhale. Maybe next time you breathe in, you'll lift your eyes, and as you breathe out, you'll bring the forehead towards the knee. Hand to the shin bone somewhere. Maybe next time you fold forward, the nose will reach the knee. We'll be aiming there anyhow. Maybe next time you'll reach forward with the chin. Maybe you need to use your right hand as we get deeper. To support the weight of the upper body. Maybe you'll need to bring that left foot back. So all the while we're gently opening up that left side, stretching down the back of that left leg. And whatever your reality is, wherever that comfortable stretch is, lift both hands next time. Inhale. And sweep the arms forward, and we'll stay in this stretch. Using that same rhythm of the breath. So if you're overextending the arms, if your elbows are stiff, then so will your shoulders be. And settling. Feel that wave of movement. Because even though we're holding the pose, every breath we take, there's that wave of movement through the body. And because nothing stays the same, if you want to ease yourself, modify, adapt or adjust, then please do.
One more breath. And when you're done with this stretch, again, taking your time, don't have to hurry. Moving gently, moving slowly, back to upright. Release the right foot. If you're sitting on a chair, it might be more comfortable to have not both legs extended because that would be strenuous. So maybe just have both feet on the floor, legs relaxed. Feel the effect of that stretch down the left side. So perhaps like me, you might have one leg that's a little tighter than another. Maybe one hamstring is a little tighter. So because I'm going to work with both legs now, I'm going to soften my knees to make it comfortable for my tighter leg. Okay, so I'm not going to strain. Rather than modifying to force my stiffer side to do what my easier side is going to do, I'm going to try and back off, resist the temptation to overcook it. Hands on the knees to begin with, so lifting the chin, lifting the chest, tipping the pelvis as you inhale and as you exhale. Keep that effort in the spine as you reach forward with the chin and the chest. Notice that as you reach forward, that natural movement in the abdomen and the pelvic floor. It's causing the lower spine to lengthen. If you're sitting on the chair, you might want to have your feet a little further in front of you. You might want to use your hands if you're on the floor to support the weight of the upper body. If you bring your gaze to the navel, as you exhale, you'll be extending the back even further. If you use your arms, as you bring the arms forward, maybe your forehead will come closer to the knees. If that felt good, maybe next time you're breathing out, your nose will come closer to the knees. And on the next stretch, if that felt good, maybe your chin will come closer to the knees. Hands towards the feet. Doesn't have to be hands on the ankles. If it makes your shoulders uncomfortable to reach, you can settle for your hands on the floor, behind the knees, back of the shin bones. Some of you might want to reach forward and catch your big toe. So wherever you are, it doesn't matter. You're doing your version of this pose. You might want to part the knees so you get your head drop. You could rest your cheekbones on the knee bones if your head comes between the thighs. You might want to fold your arms and rest your forehead on the back of the arms, or elbows on the shins and have your hands on the forehead, palms of the hands supporting the forehead. So let's just take a few breaths here just to settle. Let the breath be. Notice that steady rhythm of the breath. Notice the movement in the back body. Feel the gentle pressure. As the belly moves forward, we're restricting the movement forward, but we can still feel that muscles in the front belly softening to receive the breath, and drawing upwards and inwards as we breathe out. Paschimottanasana. Big stretch, deep forward bend. However it looks. And from here, again, if you want to take a few more breaths, it's your practice, so be my guest. When you are ready to release, come up super slowly. Maybe walk your hands back towards the hips. Maybe take the hands behind the hips so you don't have to use your own muscles to support yourself. Maybe now you could relax the legs. Wobble your feet. So you're rolling over the muscles in the backs of the calves, backs of the heels of the feet. So being very cautious not to disturb the body. Once you've got your breath back, once you've recovered from this, again, super gently, super slowly, you're going to slide your hips forward. If you're on a chair, you'll need to come down to the floor now. Again, some of you might want a rolled up blanket or a block behind your head. Ease your way gently to the floor. I have to remove my hair furniture. And I'm just going to rest, okay? So we've a huge stretch down the back body, that last pose. So we don't want to do anything which is going to cause any jerky movements, anything which is going to put the spine, now it's been stretched, in a vulnerable position. So I'm going to leave my knees bent, feet on the floor, elbows away from me, mat width apart, backs of the hands, and again, if your wrists are lifted and flexed backwards, you might want something under your wrists to make that more comfortable for your hands. And in this pose, I'm just going to notice the breath. Notice the movement of the abdomen up and down as I'm breathing. Notice how the breath changes. So throughout this practice, I'm going to leave the passive leg bent, okay, foot on the floor. So, I'm going to start working with the right leg. Slide that right foot away until that right leg is extended. It doesn't have to be stiff or straight, just maybe having the heel on the floor, something behind the knee to prevent it from being uncomfortable. As I exhale, I'm going to use that abdominal strength, use the strength to draw that knee to the chest. As I inhale, I'm going to reach up with the sole of my foot towards the ceiling. As I exhale, I'm going to bring that knee back. As I inhale, foot towards the ceiling. Exhale, bring the knee back. Relax the foot. So working with your own breath. Again, those of you who have outwardly rotating hips, if you notice your toes veering out to the right, try and keep that foot in line with the spine. You can use your imagination. Imagine that you've got a magnetic boot on and the ceiling is drawing that foot towards you. Or towards the ceiling, rather. So the muscles all the way to the hip are engaging in lengthening and unfolding on the breath in. And one more. And the next time you're exhaling, bring that right foot all the way down to the floor. Wait for everything to stop moving. Adjust your footprints if you need to. Just feel the effects of that stretch on the back of the right leg, the right hip, the right back print. Next in-breath, slide the left heel away to lengthen out your left leg. Exhale, bring the left knee to the chest. Inhale, left foot towards the ceiling. Exhale, left knee towards the belly. So you're using that whole of the in-breath to reach up with your footprint towards the ceiling, lengthening the leg. Doesn't have to straighten. And you're using the whole of the out-breath to relax that left leg all the way to the toes. It's almost like the breath is inflating the leg. One more. And the next time you're breathing out, bend that left knee, park that left foot on the floor with the knee bent and looking at the ceiling. Take a few breaths here, waiting for everything to stop moving. Acknowledging the sensations in that left hip, thigh, back, foot. Bring the hands closer to the body. Little fingers facing on the floor or palms facing inwards. Soft arms, soft elbows. Inhale, lifting the arms up and back. They don't have to reach the floor. If they can't do that comfortably, you can have a blanket on the floor behind me like I have. Exhaling, bring the arms down, feeling that wave of movement through the spine. Notice how the spine lifts as you lift your arms. If you want to tilt the pelvis, that's absolutely fine. Pelvis is rocking away from you as you inhale and the spine lifts. And the pelvis tilting towards you as the spine flattens on the exhale. That's because of the natural movement in the abdomen, in the pelvic floor, on the exhale. You could stay here. You might want to hold that arm elevated position as long as the arms aren't hanging. Soften the elbows, take a few breaths. You might want to move your hands further apart so your arm bones, more of your arms are on the floor. So you're not carrying the weight of your arms and your shoulders. And again, note that the openness, that movement in the front body is possible because of the strength in the back body. And from here, in the next breath or so, whenever you're ready, if you want to, as you exhale, you can bring your hands to the knees. Inhaling, toes down, hands down, heels down. Exhale, hands to the knees. You might find it difficult to bring your feet to the floor. So you could have your rolled up blanket, your block, a cushion on the floor by your hips. So you're bringing your feet down to something, not all the way to the floor. If your back is pinching and it's uncomfortable, maybe that's a good idea. Or that will be a good idea. Perhaps if you were comfortable with your feet moving upwards. Instead of bringing the feet to the floor as you take your arms up and back, you could take your feet towards the ceiling. Inhaling, feet up, arms back. Exhale. Knees bending, back flattens, hands on the knees. I keep my big toe bones together so that my legs stay steady. But if you want your feet further apart, then please do. And here, be careful not to let the feet travel too far in front of you. If you aim to have the spine flattening, that will help protect the spine. That will also involve the movement in the abdominals and the pelvic floor. One more. And on the next exhale, or whenever you finish the practice, you can lower your feet to the floor, maybe stepping down gently, 1 foot at a time. Some of you might want to rest with your knees bent. Some of you might want to extend those legs away. Whichever you choose is perfectly fine. You could have one in, one out. You could have something behind the thighs so the legs are supported. I'm going to try that. That might be nice. I'm just going to be here. Relaxing all effort. Maybe micromanaging the head, a little roll to the left, a little roll to the right. Soft face, soft jaw. And again, feel the sensations of that stretch. And allow the breath to settle. And from here, gently, maybe bending the left leg. Left foot on the floor, or if you're like me, you've got something behind the knees, maybe on the bolster or the blanket. And then roll very gently onto your right side. You can roll to the left side if that's more comfortable. And again, really slowly, gently, in as easeful way as possible. Finding your way back upright, or get back on your chair into that posture that we started the practice. And again, we're going to go inwards. Notice the effects of that practice. From our vertical position. And the first word in the Yoga Sutra is Atta. That
That means right now, right at this moment in time. So atta, right now. How is the breath? So you can use the Ujjayi breath on the inhale and the exhale if you can find that. Again, guard against the breath becoming noisy. And as we work with the breath, guard against the breath becoming ragged. We're going to breathe through a single nostril. And we're going to use this technique because we're going to breathe in through two and out through one nostril. You'll probably find that because you're breathing out of a smaller aperture, you'll probably find that as you're exhaling, the exhale will lengthen. So just check that you're upright, chin to the throat, so you make that fold in the throat. Lengthen the neck. Make sure you're vertical, balanced, comfortable. So I'm going to use my right index finger, have it hovering by the right nostril, not on the bulge of the nostril, but right at the top of the nostril towards the bridge of the nose. And I'm going to breathe in through both nostrils. Gently squeeze the right nostril shut as you exhale on the left. Let's just see where that takes us. So you're breathing every breath in through both nostrils and every breath out through one nostril. That's it. Do this for a couple of minutes. Again, it might be that your breath is slow, so you may only breathe half a dozen breaths in those 2 minutes. One more. And then release your right arm. Breathing in and out through both nostrils.
I like to take a minute or so here. It might take as long as a minute, it might take less, it might take more. Whatever feels right for you until that breath settles down again. And then when it has, and only you will know this, we're going to start to breathe in through two and out through a single nostril on the right. So you can use your left hand, again, gentle pressure. You don't want to push so hard that you tilt your head. Breathing in through two nostrils. And breathing out on the right nostril. While you're doing this, I might remind you that at all times during the day, the dominant nostril changes. Sometimes it's the left nostril that's dominant, sometimes it's the right nostril. This will alternate quite naturally without your being conscious of it throughout the day and also during the night. So what we're doing here, this practice, is we're balancing the ha and the ta. Hatha yoga. Balancing, if you like, the masculine and the feminine, the giving and the receiving. Life receiving, strength giving, accepting and releasing. And anytime you're ready, in the next few breaths, you can let that practice go. Staying with your awareness, with the breath, 100% of your considerable brain power. And watching the flow of the breath through both nostrils, through the body. Receiving prana on the inhale. And releasing on the exhale. And then gently, slowly, breath at a time, letting go of any modifications in the breath. Maybe taking a step back from the breath, consciously allowing your body to choose the breath that it needs. Letting the breath be the boss again. Letting nature be in charge.
And then slowly, whenever you're ready, bringing yourself into Shavasana. Or if your legs are tired, you might want your feet up the wall, or something behind the thighs, or legs on a chair. You may want your socks on, you may want a blanket, you may want an eye pillow. Whatever you need so that you can rest and just be. And at the end of our practice, the asana and pranayama together have prepared us for this moment. When we do find intimacy, our attention is drawn inwards, away from the rest of the world and all its distractions. And in the midst of all this chaos, perhaps we have a sense of stillness. A sense of peace. And all that is well with us, right here, right now, atta. And it's at this moment that I don't only find intimacy with myself, with my own embodiment, with my own body, this vehicle that I use to get me around. But I also feel a sense of intimacy with the floor, with the earth, with each other when we're in the class. This shared thing that we do when we practice together. But just because I'm coming to you by the power of technology, doesn't mean to say that you're on your own. You and I may not be practicing at the same moment in time, but we're still sharing the practice. We're connected through our practice. Through our practice, we have this sense of being connected to other living things, all beings, and not just the beings with a pulse, but also the plants, the trees and the flowers, everything in nature. Receiving this gift of life. We've stopped rationalizing, we've stopped comparing and planning and discerning and turned off our minds to spend some time in the heart. And it's from the heart that we wish the world well. And it's from the heart that we can experience the joy of love, the joy of being human, part of this beautiful creation, this beautiful planet. Connected now with everything else. Those who share our views
It's easier to connect with them, to share fellowship, friendship, love. But we all have it, whether we know it or not. So even those that spend all their time in their heads and don't yet know, this simple truth. We share it with them too. And this simple truth, this peace, this stillness is always yours. You don't need to seek it. You don't need to earn it. It's ours for free. It's already ours. And we don't practice yoga to run away from the world, but to bring us closer to it. Joining in this oneness with all beings, whether they be human or furry, whether they have feathers, whether they're 1,000-year-old trees. Or delicate butterflies. We all share this gift of life. remind you, this is your practice. If you want to rest for longer, that's absolutely fine. Do what your heart is telling you. But again, when you do decide to be reborn, to come back to wakefulness, make that transition a slow one. Roll onto the side. Maybe cradle your head with the arm underneath you and reach down and catch hold of your ankle, your shin, and just connect. Just holding yourself in the asana that you spent your first 9 months in. Bring the knees in. Just hold it. And begin your journey back slowly, gently. Let your ears travel first. When we're in the womb, it's how we perceive the world through our ears. So let them roam. Let them pick up the noises in the background. Notice how the breath might spontaneously deepen when you're ready to wake. So take your time. Listen. And when you finish the practice, keep this peaceful feeling with you for the rest of the day. Share it with others. It's my heartfelt wish that the practice, your practice, helps you find some peace in this bonkers world we live in. So from my heart to yours, thank you so much. Namaste.